The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Very important to the real spirit of the city. And today we're going to visit an exceptional inner-city school where third graders learn algebra and sixth graders use college textbooks. As Mark Brown reports, these students are so far ahead, they could teach us all a thing or two.
What I've found here is a cure for pessimism. The Marcus Garvey School is an unconventional counterpoint to conventional wisdom. At a garden variety preschool, these 3-year-olds might be finger painting. Here at Marcus Garvey, they're learning the states of the Union, the parts of the body.
The leg bone, and the ankle bone, and your back bone.
And how to count in English, Spanish, and Swahili.
Very good. Now let's say a Swahili drill.
In another classroom, third graders are solving algebra problems.
Well, I concentrate.
You concentrate?
Yes.
Isn't it hard?
No.
Why not?
Because I understand it.
Across the hall, fifth graders learn trigonometry.
I'm hoping that most of the class will be at least be introduced to calculus by the end of the school year, by June.
Fifth graders, calculus? What's going on here? First-time observers are often astounded at what children here are achieving, but the students, the teachers, and the founder of Marcus Garvey School say that what takes place here is not extraordinary, it's expected.
Nothing mysterious about it.
Dr. Anyim Palmer founded Marcus Garvey School on Slauson Avenue in 1975. Over 18 years, its student body grew from 7 to about 400. Palmer had years of experience as a public school administrator before he opted out.
Teachers would tell me that children from this community just had a problem learning, and I always found that difficult to accept.
He came up with his own curriculum that stresses high expectations, zero tolerance of misbehavior, and a strong foundation in African history and cultural pride. The school is a hit with parents who bring their children here to the Crenshaw district from as far away as Pomona.
Because I see a difference in her already, and she's only been coming here since September. My mother is the one that insisted on me bringing her here.
Insisted in spite of the $348 monthly tuition. It sounds like money well spent as I listen to this 8-year-old explain 12th grade algebra.
One thing I have to do is just multiply, cross, divide, and subtract, add, and multiply. That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do, huh? Just real simple.
Yeah.
I don't even understand this.
Most of us could help you.
Mark Brown, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Welcome to a very special edition of Uncle Bobby's Country Corner, where real men don't play, and on special occasions we have sisters who definitely do not play in their endeavors. To my immediate left, I've had the honor of knowing this sister for over 30 years. She's now the director and administrator of the Marcus Garvey School here in Los Angeles. And to my right is Brother Tabiti. What's your last name?
Umoja.
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 Umoja. You know, I've always had problems, getting that part right with my country accent.
Okay.
But what really matters is this is one of the most phenomenal mathematician and math teachers in the world.
Absolutely.
And what makes the Marcus Garvey School so unique, they will be able to, in the next 25 minutes or so, give you proof positive that it's in the genes. It's in the genes, and it's in the commitment. Yeah. And my first question to you, sister, is, and the same question that will apply to you as well, brother, is, how did you become engaged with the Marcus Garvey School, and how long ago was that?
Well, first of all, it was by, I like to say by accident, because I was not planning on a 38-year career at Marcus Garvey School. Years ago, as a youngster, I came to Los Angeles as an entertainer, and someone who was close with the founder of our school, God rest his soul, Dr. Anya Palmer, introduced me to Anyam. I was doing some tutoring with groups of students and revisiting what I had gone to college for, and that was to teach. But got the entertainment bug. You know how that goes sometimes when you're gifted. I think
you are. She's an incredible singer.
And God has given you a talent to sing and all, so I utilized that. But what really caught my heart were the hearts and souls of these young children that I was eventually introduced to. And I came here on a 2-week vacation, fell in love with California, decided to pursue my entertainment goals, and eventually wound up at Garvey. And I'm always proud to tell this story because I didn't plan on staying. I thought I was taking on a babysitting job, but I was so impressed, so astounded by what I saw when I first set foot in the class, in one of the kindergarten classrooms at Marcus Garvey School. What the children were doing way back then. Kindergartners reading, adding numbers in the thousands, subtracting, preparing themselves for multiplication, all of that, and getting a good cultural enrichment in kindergarten. This was 38 years ago when I first set foot inside of the Marcus Garvey School. And
how did you encounter the Marcus Garvey School?
Well, I'm a returnee back to Garvey. I came in around 96, 97, and when I started teaching math and African history and health, and I also taught in public school, and I've noticed that at Garvey they would allow me to speak from a black perspective. If I did that in public school, they would call me into the office and say, you're speaking too much black stuff, or you can't talk this or that. And what I've noticed is that when I teach math and I teach my students the origins of math, and they see themselves at the origin, they see themselves at the beginning, and they know this, and so that gives them confidence, and that makes me want to teach even more when I see a 4th and 5th grader understanding trigonometry, understanding advanced algebra.
What made, again, to both of you, Dr. Anya Palmer the exceptional educator and administrator that he was?
Dr. Palmer saw the failure of the public school education running rapid in our communities. He was a part of it for many years, until he just couldn't take it anymore. And finally, after his tenure at Cal State Northridge, he decided to start his own school. But it was the disappointment that he saw in so many naturally gifted students who had been so drastically underserved academically that made him decide to, as I said, start his own school and really show the world what our young black children are able to easily accomplish day in and day out.
And what was your, perception, observation of Dr. Palmer's brilliance as an educator?
Well, I think he was no nonsense with not only the students, but also with the teachers as well. We had to take tests just like the students did.
That's right.
And if you didn't pass those tests, you may not be back next semester. So it was that intense. And he had confidence in our youth, so we had to have confidence in our youth. And so he, understanding that we need to keep culture in it, I think that's what helped. And that's why I was able to stay there. When he was there, and he worked. He was a hard worker. He walked the hallways just like Sister Saunders walked the hallways, and her expectations are just as high as his is. So I think that's what it comes down to. If you got low expectations of your teachers and your students, you're going to have a school that's not going to succeed. But when you have a school where you have from the principal on down or the founder on down, when everybody has a goal in mind, good things happen. And I think that's why things happen with him, is because and like the sister said, he was looking at the fact that when you look at public school systems where you have 30 and 40 students in a class where you can't teach, and then you have maybe about 3 or 4 ringleaders, and as he taught us, just like Sister Saunders, we have to address those ringleaders. You have to get them on the right page so we can get the rest of the class on the right page.
Right.
And so, those are just different techniques that he put forth, but really understanding your culture. Just like when I'm teaching math, I teach them that the oldest mathematical papyrus is 1850 BC. That was black people teaching algebra in 1850 BC. And then the second oldest is the Wren papyrus, which is 1650 BC, where a lot of the algebra and trigonometry and geometry and all the stuff that I teach, it's come straight out of those papyruses that came straight out of Africa. So when our youth knows that that's in their blood, that those are their people, and you know, it gives them that confidence. And so that's why it's so important.
What then and what now makes the Marcus Garvey School experience extraordinary?
Expectations. That's key. As Brother Tabiti has already pointed out, expectations starting from the top to the bottom. You know, you have to have expectations. As being the director of the school, I have to keep high expectations for myself. I pass that on to the teachers, and I expect them to pass that on to the students as well. And we also have expectations for our parents at Marcus Garvey School as well, because we're one big happy family there. We like to try to keep it that way. That's key, I think, in any learning environment for any child. And it's just important for us to teach our own when it comes down to us being a family, because all other ethnicities, they do that for their children. You know, they give special attention to their children, their culture. And I think if we could do that by the masses, the world would be different. The entire world would be different.
Now, what is it about the methodology that inspires a kid, particularly one who has been damaged from going through the public school nightmare? How do you take a kid that's been like just broken down in terms of his own self-worth and then rise them up to the point where they can excel academically?
Well, from my perspective, I know that I've been taught to group them where they are. You know, find out where the student is, and then take them. Don't try to compare them to the other students in the classroom, but find out where they are, and then we can move them forward to where they need to be. Another thing is that we don't use at least I don't. I use Common Core. The standards are Common Core standards. However, the Common Core curriculum I'm not in favor of, because what happens is they put a whole lot of concepts all at once. I don't care if it's math or language arts, where they'll give 9 or 10 different concepts, and that's why the students are confused. Instead of Garvey, where we'll teach them 2 or 3 concepts this week, next week we'll give you 2 or 3 more concepts so they master those concepts. So when we give them a test with all of this on there, they're gonna really understand it, not just briefly understand it. And that's the problem with public school, is that they're just brushing over things, and then that's why our students aren't learning. So,
as we were looking at the clip at the beginning of the show, I saw what's now a grown woman with her own family, Alicia Nasruddin, and that was how I met Dr. Ayam Palmer, was through the late Muhammad Nasruddin from Recycling Black Dollars. And I saw the confidence in her face and how she appeared to be coming into herself, even though she was only 8 years old at the time. What is it that you do on a daily basis that allows these kids to feel safe in the knowledge of self and to be able to elevate academically to the point where something that appears to be complex to the rest of us is simple to them, and they almost take it for granted that, everybody ought to be doing this.
Right, exactly. And that's why we believe in putting children at ease in their learning environment. You know, when new students come to us, I embrace them. I mean, physically, I embrace them. You know, eventually I invite them into my office. You know, if you have any problems, come talk to me. It's important to put children at ease first and foremost. And then you go about building that confidence in them step by step. That's what they need, their confidence built. Even those who come in doing well, there's still much higher that they can go academically, you know, and they're looking for someone to guide them in that direction, which is upward. So I would say the key to these children feeling as good as they do about themselves, I love the idea of children being happy to enter the doors of our school. You know, they're not skeptical about coming in. You see smiles on their face. Sometimes we have to stop them. They're running down the hallways, running to class, you know, just happy. You know, and that's a good sign of children feeling good about themselves, being happy to be in the space that they're in and day out with us. Because we spend more active time with these children than their parents do on a daily basis. I would say on a weekly basis, because the parents drop them with us. They're concerned parents, you know, they're loving parents, but they have a job to get to. So we are their surrogate parents, you know, on a day-to-day basis.
One of the things that, and I should alert the audience, I'm a part of the Marcus Garvey family.
Yes, you are.
By proclamation, mine. Because, again, I met Dr. Ayam Palmer through a brother by the name of Muhammad Nasruddin, who enrolled his children there.
Yes.
He was the president and founder of Recycling Black Dollars here in Los Angeles. And I would go over in the evening sometime when he would pick the kids up, and I'm like, there's something else going on over here that I have never experienced, coming from the South. And having a segregated education, we had an expectation, but it wasn't taught in the way that Dr. Palmer had configured things because he didn't have the constraints that are placed upon public schools.
Right.
And he had some very serious disciplinary rules that no longer were present in the mid-'90s in public education. And I would look at the parents coming up in these raggedy cars and whatnot, and some parents would come in and have to ask for a little more time on the tuition and that kind of thing. And I'm like, it's something really incredible going on. And I remember he spoke one time when I was living in San Diego before I moved to Los Angeles. I was still, finding my way here back in the 80s. And he made some pronouncements that were so radical that the people in the audience didn't know how to deal with what he was saying. And he basically said, look, what's happening to our children is a crime. They're being taught by people who don't care about them. They're too concerned with accreditation, which raises this question. Are the teachers at Marcus Garvey School accredited?
No. We're not credentialed educators. And that's never been the goal of Marcus Garvey School. Teachers have degrees in different areas of learning, but that's not one of our goals to have only credentialed teachers on staff. We have had some along the way because remember we've been around for 43 years now, and but that was not Dr. Anyam's preference. He himself holds I don't know how many degrees.
More degrees than a thermometer.
I'm telling you, he has a plethora of degrees, but. Because he's been through the system, and now we're educators, and we want our children to go out and get their degrees and master their professions, their careers, and all of that. But it just takes our method of teaching, our method of accomplishment is very simple. It's just loving these children and really, once we recognize their abilities and at what levels they can learn, addressing that immediately head on, taking children in at face value, not worrying about their past records. Oh, he has an IEP. She has an IEP.
What is that?
Special. I don't know.
It sounds ugly, whatever it is. IEP.
It's something that categorizes our children. In most cases, places them in special ed classes.
A scarlet letter of sorts.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. And it's come to my attention. I did look at one from afar once, and it was about this thick on one particular child, and it was on one of the little brothers whose mother was enrolling him at that time, and he was coming from a special ed class as many have from over the many years we've been established. And the children go from coming from special ed classes to being A students by our standards. And we believe in teaching 2 to 3, 4, 5 grade levels ahead. However far one's child's mind will take them. The sky is truly the limit at Marcus Garvey School.
Can I say something?
Please.
One thing about the special ed thing is that a lot of our children are being put in special eds based on behavioral problems when they have the intellect to do well in the classrooms, and they rather put them off to the side somewhere, give them easy work, and that stagnates us. So that's a serious problem with that. And so when we get those students that come to us, we're going to work on their intellect, and then we also work on their behavior as well. But we're not going to just throw them to the side and say your behavior problem like the public school does. That's why, as Sister talked about earlier, about we're a family. When I look at I have a daughter, so when I look at these students, I look at them as my child. Or the little brother, I look at them as my son or my nephew or whatever have you. And a lot of times I know their parents already, because I've been in this community a while. So they have a whole different feeling when they know that you're just like an extension of their immediate family.
Yes.
Which leads me to this question. What's the percentage of male teachers at Marcus Garvey?
In all, we have 7 teachers on staff, and 2 are male.
So that's twice as many as they have in public schools for the most part. how important do you think it is to have that male presence on campus, not necessarily in the physical classroom, but just brothers on deck?
Oh, it's extremely important, Bobby, because there are, unfortunately, many single households, in our communities, and they happen to be run by sisters, which is a credit to them, because I think they do a great job. But that black male presence is needed, somewhere in that child's life, particularly that black male child. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So our two teachers, Brother Tabiti and Brother Saunders, play a great role in helping to mentor our young men there at the school. Now, they teach grades. They do with the older students, grades 4th through 8th, which is a great, time in one's young life to have a male image if it's lacking in the home. Even if they have a male image in the home, additionally, it's still a plus. It is because, remember, they spend a lot of time with us in the school environment.
Now, a couple of things real quickly here. Back when I first got intimate with the school and started raising money, one of the challenges was the perception that this was a militant school and all of that kind of stuff. And one of my great achievements in life was getting the oil company, Shell Oil Company, to make, in our money, a considerable contribution to the school. And we came this close to breaking into the big money.
Yes.
And but what was interesting about that experience, in the form of a statement and a question, is they sent out people from the headquarters in Houston. Originally it was Bob Russ, and then after he realized what was going on, he had to go and check with the folks about the real money. And they sent their geologists and engineers to the school. And they was fascinated by the brilliance in English that she was teaching these young people. But when they went into Brother Goins' class and saw what was going on in mathematics, that's when they got an arousal, okay?
Right.
And we connected that dot and saying, look, where do you think you're going to get your next generation of intelligentsia in the sciences and mathematics? And that's when they wrote the check. The reason I wanted to speak on that is the fact that what you guys are doing at the Marcus Garvey School is incomparable to me, based upon the world that we're in right now. Everything is driven by the ability to master math and science, and then also to be able to read and comprehend real well. Is what you do at this school duplicatable? Back in those days, we didn't have the internet and all of those things, but Mike Milken, who at the time was one of the richest men in the world, wanted to do a joint venture. And that's when they first started doing the cable stuff. And he wanted to do real-time education around the world with the methodologies being taught at the Marcus Garvey School. These many years later, the technology provides us opportunity to do that. Is the Garvey School in a position, if we can merge the platforms, can you teach in real time to people, distance learning type stuff?
Of course we could. We would just have to develop the staff to do that and take the time to put the curriculum in such a form that it can be used in a more technical way. I think it would be, because we have our own curriculum, I would like to say. Mm-hmm. A lot of the materials are teacher-created materials because we allow that creativity in the classroom, but it can be easily duplicated, mm-hmm. But of course it would take funding. It would take, in order to bring about an additional staff to handle that, because we want to keep that core sense of learning and teaching going on in the classroom mm-hmm. as well, in conjunction with having a technical aspect of the Marcus Garvey curriculum and teaching. It's absolutely accomplished. We can accomplish that very easily.
I know one of the things that has happened over the evolution of the school has been an integration of the arts into the curriculum, and you have I think a healthy relationship with the Fernando Pullum Performing Arts Academy. Can you speak to the collaboration of the arts with the core subject matters that you teach at Garvey School?
Yes, our collaboration with the Fernando Pullum Community Arts Center has been going on for close to 6 years now, and it offers a whole new language to our children, in that they learn how to read music in the areas of learning how to play the piano, the guitar, beginning instruments. They take drama, they take dance, and they take drum classes as well. So this opens up a whole new world for those children right there at our school. They don't have to leave and go to other locations to get these classes, and they're free. Mm-hmm. The parents pay a $50 registration fee per semester, but other than that, the classes are free. Fernando Pullum's board of director pays for the teachers to be able to come and teach our children, this new language of music.
So what does it cost now for a student to attend the Marcus Garvey School?
Currently, the tuition is $550 monthly, and that includes before and after school care. It includes the meals, breakfast, lunch, and an afternoon snack, and an evening meal as well.
Since there is no comparison to the Marcus Garvey School, what would a comparable private school education at the level of excellence that you present cost?
Wow. I would say 4 to 5 times as much, to be honest with you.
Now, be more than honest, because it's about $30,000 a year.
$30,000.
Yeah, that's about the price of an education comparable, not equal to, but comparable to a Marcus Garvey School education.
Because I've had students that have been at other schools where they paid 4 times what we were charging, and they didn't start learning till they got to Garvey.
And
so
we have,
they're paying.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And we have those who are leaving us going to $30,000 a year schools as
on
well.
Scholarships?
Based on their foundation that they have on scholarships. Some of them, yes. Some, a couple maybe not, but I would say some on scholarship, some not on scholarship, because their families could have afforded those schools all along, but they chose Marcus Garvey School. Right.
This is going to be a reoccurring segment of Uncle Bobby's Country Corner. 2 things. You have a website, right?
We do.
What is that website?
mgsla.org.
One more time.
mgsla.org.
And if someone wanted to make a contribution to the school, they can do that on that site?
Absolutely. We have a donate button.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever wanted to know that you actually put some money somewhere that would make a difference, the Marcus Garvey School is definitely that place. Sister Saunders and I had a brief conversation with someone that I'm certain is going to be an ally of the school yesterday, Brother David Banner. And stay tuned with us, because we're going to be doing some things to generate some revenue to begin to expand this school and take it beyond the early heights, because there was a time back in the 90s where there was the waiting list exceeded the population of the school.
Absolutely, yes.
And not only do we need to return to that level of fullness, we need to be able to put these other pieces together so that we can do distance learning and some other things until we're able to establish physical locations around the country. The reason that's important to me, not too long ago, a brother who I'm not even going to call his name out, pledged to start a school. And he raised $800,000, and nothing has happened with the school. I'm not so much worried about the fact that the money did not, produce a school, because Dr. Palmer started the school with $20,000 of his own money.
That's right.
And 7 students. So it's not the amount of money. But in this instance, any money that you contribute to the Marcus Garvey School, you're going to see immediate results in the transformation of lives of young people. So please, once again, the website,
mgsla.org.
And trust me, I made a promise to this sister that we putting the band back together. And
That's right.
In fact, we're going to do that because we had some exciting times in the 90s. And my joy came from watching these young people just fight to get to the board, to do a complex math problem. And I'm sitting there going,
and they're still doing that.
Yeah,
they're still fighting.
They're
still fighting. They're insulted if you don't call upon them once a visitor comes to the classroom to see what we're doing. They're insulted if they don't get called upon. So the excitement is still there at Marcus Garvey School.
Right. So we're going to take a very short pause. They're not going anywhere, but we're going to add some other models of possibility to this discussion. We'll be right back. and ain't nothing you can do about it. I am excited at this point to bring into this mix a couple of brothers that I met through the fight promoter extraordinaire Sam Watson, also known as the face of boxing, who I've known for over 30 years. And there was a fight between some welterweights. I think it was Robert Guerrero and this cat named Garcia. And also there was a debut of a film project about Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd said, Sam said, man, you talk so fast. He said, man, these some cats out of Minneapolis, man, these some cool brothers right here, man. I think you'll dig them. And I had an opportunity to meet the people that are coming on the air right now in the persons of Sankara Frazier and the number 4 rated welterweight in the world, Jamal Shango James. Welcome to Uncle Bobby's Country Corner, where real men don't play.
Yes, sir. Real men don't play. Yes, sir.
And I just had her put up a picture of Shango touching the little brown boy that he fought that was a turning point in his career, in my estimation, with that extreme length that he has, man. And he got that boy flinching already, you know, and it speaks to the evolution of what is going to be a great champion in the very near future. But right now, he's already a better man because of his association with the circle of discipline. So if you would, please, Sankara, give my audience a short understanding of what the circle of discipline is and how it plays into the other aspects of what you do inside the ring.
Okay, well, the circle, you know, is not a new concept at all. The world is round, you know, that's the circle. But how we use the circle is important to us. So the circle is 360 degrees. Everybody knows that. But what are you going to, you know, basically incorporate into that to make it work for you? And so what we did is look at it and we said, well, it's not too many things that you want to put into it in order to reach high levels, which would be mind, body, and spirit. Of course, along with that, the discipline, in order to make any of that happen, has to be the key. First the desire, and then comes the discipline to make it happen. And along the way, as we teach these young brothers and ourselves, respect and diligence and perseverance, all of the things that we need to rebuild ourselves from, you know, such an outrageous past to the place where we can, you know, be viable again and make decisions for ourselves when they're in our community. And we stick with that. We've been sticking with that over all these years, and it works.
Now, the gentleman that's on the screen right now that you probably can't see, Jamal Shango James, y'all have a very powerful relationship in the ring as well as outside the ring. Shango, how did you become a part of the Circle of Discipline?
My mother actually brought me down there when I was 5 years old. Her and my biological father was going through some things. They were split up at the time. She didn't want me getting caught up, you know, messing around in the streets and getting caught up in them traps. So she brought me down there very early. And, you know, all the men down there and stuff, I kind of fell in love with it, you know, the sound of the speed bag and guys working out and stuff, and they gave me the time and gave back, you know, and my father, and I'm sitting right next to St. Carl Frazier, he, you know, took me in under his wing and taught me not only boxing, but a lot of life lessons, you know, how to carry yourself, how to, you know, act in certain situations, you know, but more so, you know, gave me a clear mind and the discipline to be able to achieve the goals that we're achieving to this day, you know. So I'm very thankful for the Circle of Discipline, very, very thankful for my family that I gained through there.
I want to take you back a couple of fights. At the time, you was undefeated and probably felt like you was invincible, and then you run into a tough customer and had a performance that wasn't really reflective of the kind of fighter that you have since become. I want both of y'all estimations of what happened after that fight. And I'm going to ask Sankara first. What were your feelings, and what did you tell the brother after that first loss, his only loss in his career?
Well, actually, first of all, Bobby, I've always practiced this for many, many years. I kind of let them just kind of reflect for a little bit on, themselves before I started saying too much. I might sit there with them and be just thinking about what happened. We know we left it here, so kind of let them reflect on it. And I ask them, okay, so how you feeling, man? What do you think? Man, I can't believe I happened. I still believe it happened because you know how we got to go back to that school every now and then. We left it here. So what are you feeling about it? I just didn't feel like, I was fighting my fight. I said, boom, you got it. She wasn't fighting your fight, man. You fought his fight. And I think you were trying a little bit too hard. You thinking about knockout. Don't let people talk you into that. I said, and I'm gonna tell you why. Just very, very shortly here. And I hear this over and over and over. You got to come in, you got to be this big knockout puncher. Everybody is not a big knockout puncher in the beginning. A lot of people mature into their ability to take you out, and it might not be with just some big George Foreman punch you down through the canvas type punch. It might be in a beautiful combination. You broke the guy down. That's what's pretty to me, because we transcended the science of it, the angles, the dimensions, and we went into the art form. And we start breaking them down artistically. We're hitting them same spots, the cumulative punches and all of these things are starting to break them down. And when your eye gets so it can recognize that, that's when you're reaching the level of, in the Asian arts, they would call it a master or a grandmaster. Now you're starting to understand exactly what you're supposed to do to get this guy out of here. And everybody's different. And you may not get the knockout. Ali didn't get all the knockouts. None of the guys got all the knockouts. You go in and you put yourself in there, you make the thing happen, you put your punches together. And that's what we focus on. That's what I want them to focus on. And when it comes, a lot of times you won't even feel it happen. You might have to fake like you knew it happened. Yeah, and I put that one together. The boy fell. I didn't even feel nothing on the end of my punch. So that's what we teach as far as that, Bobby. And then, like I said, he reflects on himself. He's a thinker. He's a very deep thinker. And sometimes he'll overthink. And we've done that at times just in training. And I've asked him, what are you thinking about? I don't know. It just seems like I said, why are you overthinking? Man, we got 10 rounds. This is round 8.
So let me ask Shango this question. After you absorbed all of the dimensions of that loss, what got you to the point where you said, I'm getting back on the horse and get back in the saddle, man, and go back to work, man? What motivated you to do that?
Well, for one, I took it as a lesson. You got to be fully prepared for everything. I felt I was physically ready, but my timing and everything was off during that fight, and I never had a big desire to be undefeated. I don't. The way I fight, how my mindset is, when I go into a fight, I don't worry about winning or losing. I want to make sure that I don't, come out with anything. I want to leave everything in the ring. You know what I mean? I want to listen to my corner. I want to fight my heart out, give the fans, a good show. And, 99.9 times, if that happens, then I come out the victor anyway. You know what I mean? And when you think like that, when I took the loss, it didn't obviously I don't like to lose, you know what I mean? But I didn't take it as hard as other people take losses, I think. And for me, it was more fuel to the fire. You know, it humbled me. You know, made me, realize that you got to be 100% ready anytime you step in that ring, and you need to make sure that you're doing everything in your training. And you got to be able to hear and listen to your corner and fulfill the instructions they give to you if you want to be successful.
Now,
it's just funny.
And I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just I got anxious because we have about 15 more minutes, and I want to cover a little more ground. The fight before a couple of weeks ago was a turning point in your career thus far. What was the name of the guy that you were competing against?
I think you're talking about Chavez. It wasn't my last fight, but the fight before.
Yes,
and
yeah.
That was the guy who shot at Koreman, the underdog, yeah.
Yes. Now, what was his record?
What was his record?
I think he was like 24-2 or something like that.
Well, one thing I know about fighters, they look like fighters. So when you walked in the ring that night and they was really pumping him up, that was his showcase event on PBC Boxing. And I'm looking at his girth, he had a solid core. And I said, okay, this is an upgrade here, and we're going to find out what Shango got. And you put on a display of discipline and mental acuity and then devastating power, because you went downstairs, man, and made that boy think about his mama a couple of times. Oh, mama, come and get me, because this boy done hit me where it hurt, And I'm like, woo-hoo-hoo. That was a beautiful exhibition. So when you went in the ring that night, were you already certain that it was going to be the body shots that turned that fight around?
We study our guys. You know what I mean? And I seen, looking at his previous fights, that he comes out strong. He's a strong fighter, but he starts to diminish near the end. And you can speed that process up with some body shots. You know what I mean? And Pops in my corner, they told me, keep him on the outside. He's short. Keep him on the outside. Touch that body early, and then have fun with him once you bring him out to that deeper water.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think that shot was going to sink him all the way. I thought he might have got back up, and I was going to jump on him and try to take him out again. But that shot really sunk in, and that was this one.
Now you keep.
Just to say this real quick, he sank a number of guys with that same shot, and it was really funny, real short. But this one Puerto Rican brother we was fighting, he should be on TV on some kind of comedian thing, man. But he got hit with that body shot, and he went down, and he came throw down. This boy could fight, and he kept sitting there, and the referee was counting. The referee said, "Well, come on, get up. You can get up." So he looking at him. He said, okay, he got up, and the next thing you know, he wanted another combination. So we got through with the fight. He came in, he said, "Man, did you hear that man tell me to get up?" I'm not getting up.
Oh, my Lord. That is truly a funny story.
Funny.
I've heard you refer to Sankara as Pops, and I get a little emotional when I know that someone has embraced a child not born through, our biological situations, and I know how close you guys are. What made you choose this brother out of all of the cats? Because you have some of your own children. What made you embrace Shango as a son, Sankara?
Well, I saw, and I got a lot of them around like that. But it's like this one here is, Adonis. You've met Adonis.
Yeah.
And Kid too.
Right.
And these are the special ones. There's a couple other ones that I'll let you meet later. But the ones that I see that really want something and know how to show respect and know how to listen and know how to, we're trying to give back a lot of the things that were given to us to help us move up the ladder. And so as I'm doing that, I tell them straight out, look, Don't waste my time. I can waste some money. I can waste some of this. But please, don't waste my time because I cannot get that back. And when I see that they show respect for that, they call me up and they'll say, "Hey, you know how you feeling, Pop? You want something from the store? How you feeling? You okay? You need to rub down. You need this. You need that. But let's go up. Let's go fishing, man. Listen, when you see stuff like that, that's the real school. That's the way we knew about it, you know. And we're turning it around and bringing it back. So you have a whole gym full of guys that are seeing these guys be successful, and they're following the whole trend. And it doesn't make any difference who they are. You know, we have the Latinos, the Familia. They like to call me Hefe or Patron and all whatever. I don't care what y'all call whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, come in and they bring stuff, man. They here, I bought this for you, man. That stuff really makes you feel good, and it makes you feel like pushing on that much harder with them. Even though you're tired, man, it makes you feel like pushing on because they appreciate what it is that you're doing. And this young man right here, I can't even begin to express to you how much I love him for, man. I worry about him, go out, you know, like police and, you know, all that kind of stuff, man. Where you at, man? You know, you call, let somebody know where you at. You know, I don't know what's going on out there. Anything can be happening. You know, when you start thinking like that, you know that that's a part of you now.
Yeah.
That's you, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And how do you feel about Sankara, brother Jamal?
I mean, you know, it's vice versa, sir. I mean, as I got older, you know what I mean, I understood how hard it could be, you know, to take in somebody else like that and to spend the type of time he spent with me, teach me the lessons he's taught me, and not only him, but my older brother Adonis as well.
Right.
Take time out of their life and embrace me as family. He embraced me like a son. Adonis embraced me like a brother, you know, like an older brother. I'm the oldest out of my biological family, siblings and stuff like that. But I got older brothers because of this family. And I know that they have my back to the fullest. They've already shown it. And, you know, I can only return. The only thing I can do is return that favor and show that love right back.
Okay, let's pivot in.
It's not just about boxing, man.
Huh?
It's not just about boxing.
No, it's a whole universe of things that happen at the Circle of Discipline. And I got a couple of guests in studio that have been sitting here just kind of beaming to know that they're not the only ones that invest in children the way that you have. Sister Linda Saunders and Brother Tabiti, they are doing incredible things at the Marcus Garvey School. And before you guys came on the air, I asked them how long and what will it take for us to do some distance learning, because I do know that you integrate life management skills and a holistic approach to developing young people in Minneapolis at the facility that you have known as the Circle of Discipline. And I look forward to being able to, you know, enjoying these worlds of people who have that same core love for people.
Absolutely.
You know, and with that being said, a couple of Saturdays ago, he had the biggest fight of his career in terms of the acknowledgement of his return to the top echelon of the welterweight division in his own hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it was in a historic venue, the Armory. What was it like walking out there and seeing a packed house of people just rabid about the fact that boxing had came back to Minneapolis in a big way?
Oh, man, it was ecstatic, you know. For one, you know, in Minnesota's always had a stigma for showcasing bad fighters, and fighters go out there and get knocked out and stuff. But two, anytime we host fights or there was professional fights here, they put them way up north at the casinos, and so it's an hour and a half drive away. So, you know, a lot of people in the cities, you know, they still come to support, but it's a lot harder. And then after the fights, you know, there's nothing out there but the casino. A lot of people, you know, if they want to gamble, then they just stuck out there. So being able not only make history by competing in the Armory, which was just brand new, renovated, and used to be the center point for Minnesota boxing 45 years ago. I mean, Sugar Ray Robinson, my favorite fighter, fought in there, you know, along with other great names. So being able to be the main event in my hometown and breaking that venue after having, you know, not having any boxing for 45 years was a tremendous, you know, feeling of honor. And the whole city came out and showed out, man. And it was like a winter storm happened on the same night. You know what I mean? And that didn't stop nobody from coming out. The place was packed. You know? And walking out to the ring and seeing everybody cheer and stuff, and then hearing everybody yell out, "Shango, I'm fighting!" It was just, it's a feeling I can't even explain, man.
Brother, we had it was almost a whole day hospital. Doctors, man, I'm talking about there was doctors shit out there could crack your chest open and stop your heart and read. You know, they all come and they're part of the circle of discipline, man. It's not because they're over at the hospital they call them in. These people come down and they offer their services and everything else. So I think the big thing that we're trying to do for the brothers and sisters sitting there, you know, we can do so much by ourselves. I mean, come on,
Absolutely.
Man. We gotta be real about the thing. Everybody needs allies. And you can't keep sitting up there trying to incorporate this whole hate mentality and this, that, and the other. You look at the ones that are the best of them, and you say, well, look, we use this system, we sift through, and if you still hold on, by the time we get through system, we throw you over in the other side because we know you can hold on, you know. The other ones, we might have to take a little time to work with them a little bit more. Maybe they'll come around and maybe they won't. Bobby, you know yourself, I've lost a lot of outstanding boxers. But I told them in the beginning, I said, listen, all of you guys are good at this art form. I said, but there's one, maybe two out of you 15 here that's going to really make it. So let's just keep it for real. And that's exactly the way it was. And the thing that they do appreciate is when you just tell them like it is. You just tell them like it is. And for the sister there, this is what I tell a lot of the women that come in, because they're all messed up and they you know the problems you have to go through with a lot of that kind of stuff. But they come in and they want to know what to do with the young man. I'm going to tell you, just like, you know, I'd have to think about it if I was working with a woman. I can only go so far with what I got. Now, yeah, I can teach you how to run track. I can teach you how to do all of that. I can even teach you how to dress. I ain't too bad at that now that I can Don't get it wrong, sorry. But, you know, I know what it is I like to see, and I like that, you know, when they're classy, they got that nice pattern, fingernails look good. I teach you all of that. And and intelligence. Let's read this book. Let's read that. We can do the whole thing. But there are certain things that I cannot teach them as a man. I just can't do it. I need a woman to insert herself someplace in there to be able to teach them certain things that a woman would know.
And that's only natural, because a man does need a woman's touch.
And here's something that, because we got about 3 more minutes, and I want to get this in. Sankara is also a crooner, okay?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And sister got some Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan in a Sankara, so we might be able to put some music out at the same time as we move the nation along. I'm serious about that. Yeah.
We're living in jet age now. I'll get on the jet. We come in and go on and do what we got to do.
Yeah.
All right, my brother.
Now, he ain't no joke, you know.
I'm not joking.
And she ain't either. You know, the sister can blow, man. That could be something that comes out of this tonight. But as we begin to wrap this up, some wonderful things that are happening in our culture that just go unreported. And the phenomenon of the circle of discipline is attached to a larger train that's rolling called Premier Boxing Champions. Shango, what was it like when the incomparable Al Heyman made his presence felt in your career?
Oh, it was a hurdle that we was able to get over. We've been, doing this thing. We did this thing ourselves for so many years, but we got to deal with so much different obstacles coming up here, man. They got covert racism type stuff, and just good old boy network set up. And now being able to be signed with Al Heyman, it gave me the opportunity, my team, the opportunity to compete all over the nation, to get, televised all over the world, and, to the point where we'll fight back at home in a huge venue right in the middle of the city.
Mm.
This is a big power move, man, and these guys, all those, when we got signed, we had haters, man, so some of the promoters up here was hating. They didn't want to work with none of our fighters or nothing else like that because, we got signed and this and that. Now they are coming back. Now they want to work with the fighters and stuff like that because they see, for one, we got the talent. For two, we know how to carry ourselves. And their stuff fell all apart. You know what I mean? And that was another big thing, too, I just want to mention real quick. Not only was I able to be the main event, but I was able to put some of my brothers on that I compete with and train with at the circle. Deshaun Lewis, he unfortunately, lost a tough fight, but he's going to bounce back hard. And then Celso Ramirez, who knocked this guy out in the first round. They was able to fight in a major venue like that. You know what I mean? And get seen by the whole city. And get seen by, the PBC and all them. So, the opportunities he's given me has took me far in my career, and now it's enabling me to open doors for my other brothers and stuff like that, and hopefully, get them far in their career. And that's what it's all about, giving back.
Well, I think from the way things typically go in the boxing world, they want to capitalize on another local fight, which means you'll probably be back in the Armory in the foreseeable future. And after that, it's either going to be Errol Spence, One-Time Thurman, or what's the other boy name? Fights on HBO out of Nebraska. What's his name? Terrence. Yeah.
We fought him as an amateur. We fought Danny Garcia too as an amateur.
Oh, well, that would be. Yeah, that Garcia fight would be a good setup fight, but I think those other three boys is where it's going to come down to the four of y'all, and by the time you get there, it ain't going to make that much difference, although I done told you, man, the next time you get in the ring, you got to worry, I got bad nerves, man, and I'm sitting there watching that boy clip you in the second round, man, and I'm like, come on, man, get this shit over with. So just keep that in mind. Uncle Bobby needs you to get this shit over with as soon as possible, because I'm as nervous as a shell-shot rabbit uptown. Hey, look, we got to wrap up this, huh?
Absolutely. I said, I said, he's feeling over in that corner, man. What's wrong with this guy? He had this one kid, man, who hit, I can't even think of a Braille or that. Man, he hit the boy, and the boy, I could see him going. He was going. And I jumped up and had my foot on the first stair. And man, thank God for that, Commissioner, and that we was cool with each other, man. Because he dragged me, no. And I said, oh, dang, man, my killer instinct done turned on, man. I'm getting ready to hit the boy myself.
Oh, man, look here. You guys cannot be strangers to Uncle Bobby's Country Corner here at Morris Media Studios in the heart of the Crenshaw District, man. We're going to keep this fellowship going and give progress reports on the budding relationships between the Circle of Discipline and the Marcus Garvey School. Man, thank you guys for coming on to my show, man, and sharing a portion of your story with you. And let's just keep it moving on down the road, okay?
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for you and both of your panelists call us up and take time. My mother was a Garveyite, by the way.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Now we're gonna dig into this, man, because I see some parallels here that we can easily do.
They're there. Absolutely. I love that name, Circle of Discipline.
Circle of Discipline.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the truth, So I'll be in touch with you guys, man. Thank you for coming by Uncle Bobby's Country Corner, man.
Thanks for having us, man. You guys take care of yourself.
Okay, so as we close out the show tonight, I'd like to thank O.G. Portis for once again opening up the doors here on Crenshaw Boulevard, the heart of what's left of the black community. And by the way, the Marcus Garvey School is a short walk from here,
Yes,
so we got to salvage these institutions, And I'm gonna close with a quote from the great Marcus Garvey: "What men have done, men can do. Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will." We'll see you next week.
Thank you, brother. You guys take care.